This review is brought to you by Blaziken's Flaming Crotch. Look at it. So majestic.
Alright, so Pokémon. You all know about Pokémon, right? It was the biggest fad in the mid to late 90s that was pretty much ruling the world with an iron fist. And pretty much kind of has been doing so ever since, if I think about it. Also, around the same time in the mid to late 90s in arcades and PlayStations, Namco had its Tekken fighting game series, which also was kind of ruling with an iron fist with its fighting style. Now you might be asking, hey Will, what do these two things have in common, Pokemon and Tekken? Absolutely f***ing nothing, but we made a game about it anyway.
Now, the idea of a Pokemon tournament-based fighter doesn't sound like a bad idea on paper. And it's easy to guess why, since the series itself is all about fighting in various tournaments to be the very best like no one ever was, and I'm sure you know the rest. Now, the concept actually works very well here. When you boot up the game, you're introduced to the world you're in and its rules by some woman who treats you like an idiot who hasn't played a game in your life. Heeding her words, you can proceed to the tutorial section so you can learn step-by-step guides on how to play the game effectively, or you can jump right in on your own and learn as you go. I would recommend the optional tutorial at least once though to get familiar with the playstyle, as it's not hands-on easy as a game like, say, Street Fighter or Tekken would be. There are 16 Pokemon characters available that you can play as, one being included through DLC and the other being unlockable. And you will also find out that all of the Pokemon have their own unique playstyle that players will unquestionably take advantage of depending on how they like to play. Some characters are swift and can deal strings of combos. There's the heavy hitters that deal massive amounts of hurt but are slow to do so, the ranged fighters using projectile attacks, defensive style combatants, and I'm sure you get the basic idea.
Now, there is a bit of a learning curve, especially when it comes to trying to figure out what type of gameplay mechanic works best for you, and how to effectively use it on the competition you'll be fighting. But otherwise, it's still a fairly simple game to play, and pretty easy to figure out once you start getting the hang of how it works.
Every character has 3 main attack buttons, Y, X, and A. Each doing different things, with the analog stick or D-pad being used along with them can make for quite a list of different combos and flashy attacks worth memorizing, especially if you plan to juggle your opponent.
Which, yes, you can actually juggle your opponents and get juggled yourself. However, not nearly as bad as we've seen in other games like Mortal Kombat, where you can get juggled all around to the point that it's practically useless, forcing you to throw your freaking controller down in anger because you're paying for such a simple mistake.
With the B button, you can jump around the platform, and with L and R, you can strafe around your adversary and try to get an opening to attack or dodge any oncoming assaults that are being thrown your way. At the end of just about every combo or heavy hit, the screen will suddenly shift into duel mode, which for the most part doesn't really affect the way the fight is played out or its combo systems, but changes the view to a side scroll as seen in Tekken or Street Fighter games. Why does it do this? Well, I guess it can make certain combos easier to pull off because of the camera's positioning, but otherwise, as mentioned, it really doesn't do anything. It's not an inconvenience either, but it's just something to expect. To get out of this position, like before, one player will have to take an impact which will knock the camera back away. Rinse and repeat. Also, it's good to mention that you can furthermore grab your adversary using Y and B. Some of the Pokemon's powers can initiate a grab attack as well. Another plus is being able to counterattack your rival's moves by holding down X and A. Granted, you have to be pretty good at the timing to do this, so when it comes to grabs and counters, don't overly rely on them if you're not good at it. Just stick to blocking and try not to let your friend break through.
Now, in the heat of battle, you can press the L and R buttons simultaneously together to activate what I call the Overlimit ability, which will give your Pokemon a big boost in power for a brief period as long as that little gauge in the corner is full or steadily going down. During this time, your Pokemon will be a lot stronger, a lot faster, and a lot more agile, and doing this can quickly turn the tide of battle in your favor just in case the entire fight so far hasn't been going well at all.
During this moment, if you activate it again, you can do a signature move the character has, which if it hits, will show you an awesome cutscene. Lastly, if this wasn't awesome enough, before the fights and in between rounds, you can select a partner Pokemon to team up with. Though these particular Pokemon cannot be played as, if you press the L button when the assist gauge is full, you can summon your selected partner to give you a quick aid in the fight, which can be anything from attacking, healing you, increasing your stats, or decreasing your enemy's stats. You can unlock these Pokemon and much more by playing the game, so have fun with that.
To be honest, the fighting system in this game is quite fun and enjoyable to play. It's not overly complicated, but does indeed have that small learning curve that competitive players will no doubt enjoy, especially when they master a character and learn how to effectively play as them in battle.
Now there are a few key modes in this game to note. You have the Story Mode League section where you progress through the admittedly very tacked on story, which doesn't amount to much and really just kind of exists because, well, shut up, it does. The way it also plays out is pretty weak too. It really just forces you to replay the arcade mode of about 6 fights over and over and over again until the game deems you worthy enough to progress to the harder stages, which do advance the plot, and it's pretty much rinse and repeat all over again. Fortunately, it's not too hard to get good at the game, so it shouldn't take you too long to complete it. One of the key features of the game is the RPG stat boosting element, which increases your favorite Pokémon statistics. After every fight, you will get experience points you can then distribute to your strength, your endurance, your powers, and the like, which make you all the more deadly in any fight. The downside is the experience is always attached to the Pokémon you picked, which can make the character particularly broken, but at least the experience points can be taken and added to other characters, so it's not all bad. You will, however, absolutely want to level up as much as you can and get as much experience as possible, because other players around the world will be doing the exact same thing as well. And in online play, you are definitely going to want to bring your A game, as players are fighting hard for those ranks. And don't even think about quitting the game in the middle of a match, or the game will make sure you're penalized for it. And rightfully so.
Oh, come on, don't back out like a wimp. Accept your loss like a man. It's not like you're gonna black out over this. This isn't that kind of Pokemon game. This is a man's Pokemon game. Yeah, get some! Ow. Now, speaking of online battles, the connection for the fights is very, very good. I never once experienced any hiccups or lag during the actual fights. I don't know who's in charge of these servers, but the people who are doing Smash Brothers, guys, take notes!
One minuscule feature you can also do in the game is customize your avatars with titles and items you can unlock in the game by either playing it or using your amiibo to do it for you. What does it amount to? Well, not much, or not really anything, but whatever. Your avatar rarely if never appears on screen anyway, so it really doesn't matter or enrich the game by any means. It's kind of a pointless addition, but hey, if you like customizing your outfits, then sure, I guess it's okay. Doesn't hurt the game, but it's just not useful. One last thing before I bring this review to a close is there is indeed a local multiplayer. One player will use the Wii U gamepad as a screen, and the other will use the Wii Motion Plus controller for the main screen. Note, I didn't try out every peripheral, but my Zelda Wii Motion Plus remote with a strap-on Wii Virtual Console remote actually worked flawlessly with the game, which I have to admit I really didn't expect it to. So it's probably a safe bet that if you have something similar in this setup, it's likely gonna work no problem. Pretty cool.
When all is said and done, I was fairly surprised at how much I was enjoying this game.
As a game reviewer, I do have to be open to all types of games and genres, but I still do have my personal preferences, and fighting competitors are not particularly one of them. But this one, however, did keep me very entertained with its simple but sophisticated gameplay style, and its fun online play, which was one of the way better accessible experiences I've had in a game. Pokemon loyalists would probably raise quite a few eyebrows at the choice selection for fighters in the game, which, to be honest, was without a doubt unavoidable. What with there being well around like 700 of these things now?
Jesus.
You know, back in my day, we only had 151 of these Pokemon running around, and you want to know something else? Back in my day, it also made a lot more sense, too. By today's standards, we've got floating Pokemon keys for a wild animal. I mean, that would explain why I can never find mine, but no, I think they're just running out of ideas.
That being said, if you are a Wii U owner and looking for a fun fighting game that's pretty much an enjoyable cross-match between Super Smash Bros. And Tekken, or a Pokemon fan in general, then you might actually want to check this one out by renting it. I can't think of many players who wouldn't enjoy a game like this, but outside of loyalists or competitive players, others probably could wait for a price drop.
That is, should one ever happen. I don't know, it just seems like Nintendo's games always manage to stay high in the expensive mark well after the release date. There isn't a whole lot to do in this game outside of just fighting with the 16 playable Pokemon. So the replay value ultimately comes down to how much enjoyment you think you can get out of that. I mean, at least with the online play, you're always guaranteed an opponent to play with instead of just the computers, so that's something.
If you're the type of gamer that enjoys a story but likes to move on to the next game as soon as you've finished it up, then this game might not be for you, as it solely relies on you being into the fighting competitions in order to get the full enjoyment experience out of it.
Well guys, there you have it. There's my review for Pokken Tournament, the fighting game for the Nintendo Wii U. You've been watching the Brotherhood of Gaming.com. I am your host with the most, William Morris, and if you haven't seen the show already, I feel sorry for you. Please click the subscribe button and you'll be sure to see all of the great things that we've done on this channel, from speedruns to retrospectives to everything really, really awesome and special. So do that, and we'll see you next time in the next video game review. What game are we going to review next?
Pikachu! Pika, Pika, Pikachu!
Oh, that's a brilliant idea. You should come back to see that one. See you next time, gamers.
I was frozen today!